Most of us know the incredible story of Anne Frank's life in hiding, but there's this other story, a profound and much lesser known journey that happened inside those walls. It was this internal fight for identity, and it was fought without one of a teenager's most common tools. So today, let's dive into that incredible story of self-discovery. Think about that for a second. What does happen when a teenager grows up without a mirror? For Anne Frank, this wasn't just some hypothetical question. It was her reality for more than 2 years, and it forced her to look inward in a way most of us, well, we never have to. All right, so let's set the scene. Picture yourself in the secret annex. It is cramped. There's almost no privacy. And for a young girl who's right on the edge of becoming a woman, there is something huge missing that we all take for granted. There are no mirrors at all. Can you even imagine going through puberty completely blind to your own reflection? Anne was so aware of her body changing, all the awkwardness, the new feelings, but she had no way to actually see it happening. She couldn't check her hair. She couldn't see an outfit in a shop window. She couldn't even compare herself to her classmates. With no way to look out at herself, she had no choice but to look in. But this journey inward, it was anything but easy. It was shaped by these intense pressures, both from the outside world of the annex and from this new critic she was developing inside her own head. Just look at this. You can feel the psychological pressure cooker she was living in. Putting aside the obvious dangers, just the day-to-day was unbelievably stressful. The constant bickering, her mother's criticisms, it all made her feel so small and isolated, which only made it harder to see herself clearly. And so all those external pressures, they started to fester inside. She developed these really deep insecurities. She wrote in her diary about feeling unattractive, thinking she was too thin, too childish. She had this huge fear that she would never be seen as a desirable young woman, which is such a powerful teenage anxiety, just amplified 1,000 times by her situation. So, if she had no physical mirror, how could she ever see herself? This is where everything changes. She made her own. Her diary, who she called Kitty, became her mirror. And this diary, it wasn't just a log of what happened each day. Oh no, it was a tool for this kind of radical self-analysis. It was this totally private space where she could be brutally, unflinchingly honest. In its pages, she could confront her jealousy, she could dissect her insecurities, and really, for the first time, she could see and acknowledge her own growth. The honesty here is it's staggering for a girl her age, especially back then. She explored her curiosity about her own body, her budding feelings for the boys in the annex, and her deep longing for intimacy. And she did it all with this incredible maturity that was forged in that tiny, isolated space. Her writing truly was her reflection. But even with a tool as powerful as her diary, there was one final massive hurdle she had to get over on her journey to self-worth: the constant, painful comparison to her older sister, Margot. And in Anne's own eyes, the contrast couldn't have been more stark. On one side, you have Margot, the ideal, beautiful, graceful, calm, the perfect daughter. And then there was Anne, who saw herself as the exact opposite, the emotional one, the difficult one, the one who was always in the shadow. This became a huge source of her insecurity, because she was convinced everyone else saw her that way too. But this struggle, this constant wrestling with jealousy and feeling like she wasn't enough, it actually led her to this truly profound discovery. It's a conclusion that would come to define her entire journey. And there it is. Such a simple sentence, but it carries incredible weight, right? She realized that physical appearance, the very thing she was denied the ability to obsess over, was ultimately less important than the qualities of a person's character, of their mind. It was a truth she had to discover entirely on her own. So how did she get there? Well, this wasn't something that just happened to her. She actively built her own self-worth. First, she looked her insecurities right in the face. Then she confronted that really painful jealousy she felt toward Margot. After that, she started to actually recognize her own growth. And finally, she began to truly value her own unique strengths, her intelligence, her humor, and her incredible courage. And this really brings us to the big takeaway from her journey. Anne Frank's story of self-discovery is this powerful lesson in finding value far, far beyond the surface. So here's the crucial point. By being denied a mirror, Anne was forced to find another way to see herself. And what she ended up building was an identity based not on her reflection, but on the strength of her character and the depth of her mind, a sense of self that no mirror could have ever shown her. And that leaves us with a question to think about. In a world that's just saturated with images and reflections, Anne's journey really challenges us to ask ourselves, what is the true source of our own self-worth? What defines you when all the mirrors are gone?